Hello and welcome to the Ask Weldon Show, episode 254. Today we talk about to what extent luck is a factor in LCS, in Professional League of Legends, what the alternatives are to VoD reviewing if you want to improve, and what determines the role that you pick in games. Are you a support player? Are you a tank? Are you a magey type person? Damage dealer? All of these games have these different kind of roles, and somebody asked, like, what determines what I pick as my main role? Okay, so that's what we're going to dive into today. Make sure that if you want to catch this show live on Twitch, go to twitch.tv/MindGamesWeldon and click follow, turn on notifications. The reason you should turn on notifications is I basically do the show in the evenings after work and then on the weekends, kind of whenever I can, but I don't have a set schedule yet because it's not the off season. So basically you have to have a little notification on your phone, that pops up, Weldon is live, and then you can jump in and you can just listen to the show. It's a quick 30-minute thing. And you can be done. So make sure to do that if you want to catch notifications. You can do it right on your phone in the Twitch mobile app. Also, if you want to call in a question to the show, you can also use a mobile app called Anchor. It's like a podcasting app. And you can go to my channel, Weldon Green, and you can call in a question there. Or you can use the web. You can go to anchor.fm/WeldonGreen/messages or message, or you just click the link on Weldon Green on the profile. And you can leave a message for the show. All right, I think that's about it for announcements. Let's jump into the first question. And this is from Fanglies or Fang Lies. I'm not sure which.
To what extent is luck a factor in any win or loss in League of Legends or the LCS? Thanks, Weldon.
All right. So this is a tricky question because the answer is tons and tons and tons of luck and also none at all. So if we go game by game, obviously, like in the long run, if for any competitive sport, we're talking about basically no luck, right? So it's all kind of make your own destiny stuff. But if we're talking about a single best of one, luck goes up a lot. Best of threes are a little bit less lucky, but best of ones have a lot to do with your scrim partners in the week, whether or not your scrim partner played your opponent previously the day before, whether they played them the day after, whether or not they lost to their opponents or won to their opponents because they were having a bad day. So they adopted their picks, and then they played those picks against you. So now you know what's going to happen on stage, kind of, and you've seen it before. Whether or not you get blue side or red side in a meta that favors blue side or red side, whether or not your mid laner had a bad game on one champ and doesn't like it anymore, but that's the champ that we need to first pick, so we don't first pick it, so we change the draft around, and then the enemy team forgets to ban a specific champion, and so we end up playing a completely different style, which benefits us a lot. And yeah, so the answer is there's an insane amount of serendipity and luck and random chance, RNG, involved in best of ones in League of Legends because of the pick ban phase and because of the way that we train. So because we train with our opponents, there's a lot of RNG throughout the week on how our opponents are interfacing with each other and how the meta shifts into the weekend. Every single week is like a different meta in terms of scrimmages usually. And then there's a huge amount of luck involved with the opponent's pick ban. Sometimes zero of that. Sometimes there's a massive amount of luck. It depends completely on the weekend and the meta and the opponent. So yeah, I would say overall in best of ones, you can toss 4 to 6 games a season completely up to luck. And that's almost half the season, right? We're looking at like 9. It's not 9. Let's see. There's 9 other opponents and we play them both twice. So there's 18 games, right? 9 wins, 9 losses is exactly middle of the pack. So I think that you can go 4 to 6, which means you could go 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 13 wins and 5 losses, and you could be the best team and just gotten unlucky. You could have had a perfect season except gotten unlucky. So I think a 13-5 record is probably just luck wise no different from a perfect 18-0 record, basically. In a best of one. In best of 3, it's very different. You can, if you can't adapt, you can do things to prepare yourself to be adaptable on stage and go into the second game with your eyes, wide open. So yeah, thanks for that question. Don't really know how else to answer it. Announcements. No really big announcements other than that we clinched playoffs and that there might be some cool new merch coming from CLG soon. That I'm drinking a Game Fuel, which is not a G Fuel like that sponsors Dr. Disrespect. This is Mountain Dew that makes this, and it's not just sugar and caffeine. It's actually sugar and caffeine and a bunch of other little minor things like ginseng root extract and L-theanine or yerba mate extract and vitamin B12s and B6s, which is similar to what you find in Red Bull there. I thought there was green tea extract in here too. Hang on. Actually, I'm not seeing the green tea extract. Okay. This is much worse than I thought it was at first. I thought there was L-theanine in here. Okay. Well, anyway, I'm only drinking it because I wanted something like Mountain Dew, but not Mountain Dew at the moment. And it's got pretty low sugar for its size, I would say, as far as being a soft drink. So it ain't bad. No other announcements. Let's just jump into question number 2 from Gabriel.
Hello, Weldon. My name's Gabriel, and I have a question about VoD reviewing. And are there any alternatives to VoD reviewing? I'm very bad at VoD reviewing, and I cannot seem to notice what to do or anything. And I know that's the main way to get better is to VoD review. I play the game a ton, Overwatch, if you're wondering, but that's the one thing I cannot VoD review. And I think that's what's holding me back. Are there any alternatives? I do, apart from hiring a coach, I do have a coach, but sometimes my playstyle is so weird. I need to look at it myself. So if you know any ways to review your game without a VoD, thanks.
All right, so the short answer to this question is no. There's no other alternatives to VOD reviewing. Basically, but let me get into it a little bit and explain what I mean so that you can take this in context and fix the answer for your situation. So when you want to get better at something, you need to have a coach who you need to see what you're doing. You need the eye test. So if I'm a coach and I'm improving a swimmer, I watch them and I see what they're doing, and then I create a drill that brings them closer to being faster. And I do the same thing with players. I watch them and I see what they're doing, and I create a drill or a training that brings them closer to being better. And you can either coach yourself by looking at yourself, or if you're bad at that, you can hire a coach and they look at you instead. So I think that you should think of it in terms of there's two classes of people, right? There's I don't want to say class, that's the wrong word. There's two categories, classifications, taxonomies. There's two taxonomies of people: the people who can see their own errors and can improve them, or the people that can't. And you might shift between these two positions or poles depending on how much of the game that you know and how much you can improve. So, for example, I was able to coach myself to about mid-diamond. I could not coach myself beyond that as an individual. At that point, I switched over to pro coaching and I started coaching pros instead. But for myself, I think I was like hard stuck diamond, and I couldn't coach myself as an individual higher than that. Maybe you cannot coach yourself higher than you already are, so you need to hire a coach to do that for you. And if your coach sucks, they won't be able to, and if they're good, they will be able to. But no, there's no other way other than watching your own VODs or watching a mirror of yourself play or watching yourself play live 5 seconds after it happened. I don't really know how you want to do it. But anyway, you have to watch yourself to coach yourself. So VOD reviewing is the only way to do that. If you want to get better at VOD reviewing, go coach a bunch of other people, and then you will realize the things that you're coaching in other people may be about yourself also. That's my recommendation. All right. Thanks for the question. And now I get to talk about the Mac program and also turn this off. So the Mac program is my online mindfulness acceptance commitment training course. It's an online video course of 49 videos hosted on a website. You pay $25. Make sure to use the code AskWeldon, and then you get access permanently through a login to the pages where the videos are on. You could download them and distribute them around the internet, but I would ask you please not to, obviously, because this is essentially how I support this show and this Twitch channel and this YouTube and kind of this hobby on the side where I try to do this Q&A kind of like sports psychology spreading knowledge thing. So right now I am working on developing this into an app. So any purchasing or money that is raised through this program essentially goes straight into development. So paying for a developer to program the app and get it up and running, and then I'm making content for it. So it will be more of an appified experience and less of like a website with a bunch of videos on it. And the essential structure of this is that you listen to a lecture and then you do a seated meditation training through a little dialogue that I tell you on what to focus on. And they are increasing length and increasing difficulty as you go, and the lectures follow a track that I've put my previous teams through that takes you through the concepts of mental resilience, mental toughness, and social and emotional skills training while you're playing a video game. But although it's built in the context of video games, the skills that you learn are suitable for other places. So I've had students who take this to be better students, test takers take this to be better test takers, and I've had lawyers take this to be better lawyers too. And so the context of sports psychology is really, and now that the field is being kind of like moved towards performance psychology, means that it can be used for performance arts and performance moments kind of in normal everyday life. So it's a really generic skill set, but set for obviously video gamers in my course. So you can check that out at mindgames.gg/MAC, or just the front page, I think, mindgames.gg, and use the coupon code AskWeldon to show that you come from YouTube. Final question. Also from
Hello,
Gabriel.
Weldon. This is Gabriel again, and I have another question. This is about your roles. What determines your role? Is that a mindset? I main support because there are a lot of support players when I started playing Overwatch, and then I found this character I really liked, Lucio, and I loved his movement. Thing is, I'm very, very aggressive with Lucio, and that's not his role since he's not a DPS. And I made it all the way to Grandmaster, the highest rank, but then I have fallen since I've been trying to learn his more optimal playstyle. You know, how you're supposed to play him normally as a support. But I really can't, so I just switched my roles to DPS, where that's the main thing to do. I don't know. Thanks.
All right, this is a really interesting question to me because as I was pondering it, I thought about like why it is that I picked the roles that I picked. And I think that there's really a couple answers to this. The first one is acculturation. So what it is that you think is cool. And that could be things like I really like to see big numbers and I like to like, stab things. All the way up to the thing that I thought that was cool, which is to do the harder thing. So when I played, for example, my first time through World of Warcraft, I picked the most difficult, most challenging race from what I'd heard from reading the beta reviewers to get to level 60 by yourself. And then I did that because I like intentionally wanted to do as good a job as other people, but with a handicap, right? To challenge the system. Kind of like going and climbing Mount Kilimanjaro or something. You're just like throwing yourself at this PvE thing. So that's how I ended up with my role. It's like trying to do the same thing as somebody else, but it's got a handicap on it. And then I think, so when you initially go into something, I think it's a lot about aesthetic pleasure. And I don't mean necessarily aesthetic like just what you see. So as in beauty, right? I mean what you appreciate with your senses. So that could be like a feeling of a certain kind of style, color, a certain aesthetic, like undead. Like I could never play undead in World of Warcraft. I just can't stand the aesthetic. But I loved playing, and I couldn't play. What was the other one? Trolls either. But Tauren, I was down. I didn't really like playing orcs. I was very down with Draenei and humans. Yeah, so there's definitely like an aesthetic there that was like appealing to me. And I think that is probably a lot of the initial draw of what brings people to play a certain kind of class. And then I think once a game is founded, or once a game starts and people have experience with it, I think it's a lot about the like the rotations, actually, the play style. So whether it's fun to do the thing that hunters do, or whether it's fun to do the things that rogues do. So either people are super conservative and they just do the thing that they originally did and that's it, or they experiment with a lot of stuff and they find something that kind of fits what they want to do to interact with the game, and they keep it that way. There's a lot of games that I have enjoyed that have a certain kind of like pulse to their combat and a pulse to their play style that really fits for me. And when I find myself in RPGs or MMORPGs or MOBAs or whatever, I tend to end up with champions or characters that have the same kind of kit, as you would say. So my opinion is it's got to be like personality, right? And just a lot of acculturation to what you like and what you appreciate and what you were raised and what you think is cool, and maybe what you see in movies and media influence that a lot. I can't think of any other like big influencers other than um like maybe peer group, maybe what peer group opinions have about stuff. Like if they say this is cool and you're just like, yeah, now it is, because you really respect that person's opinion. So I think that's my answer about that, and it's a little bit out there. It doesn't have a lot to do with sports psychology, but I think it's an interesting question for a gaming channel, to say the least. So that's why I took it, and that's the show for today. Thanks again for tuning in, and I will see you next time.